the Chicago Sky teammates of Angel Reese, Ariel Atkins, Rachel Banham, Courtney Vandersloot, 3 ladies which were targeted in that hit piece that Angel Reese slid underneath the table. Yeah, they responded. Not only did they respond, but the Chicago Sky.
Did Angel Reese just become the Chicago Sky's biggest problem instead of their supposed franchise player? Think about it. She's been suspended for technical fouls, missing games with a so-called back injury, and then publicly throwing teammates like Courtney Vandersloot, Haley Van Lith, and Rachel Banham under the bus. Meanwhile, the Sky actually played better without her, so why is Reese demanding trades and roster overhauls when her own turnovers lead the league, despite missing weeks? What happened next? Her teammates pushed back, the front office punished her, and the Sky actually found life without her. Is this truly the end of Reese? Let us know down in the comments below if you think the Sky should fire Reese. Let's go. At this point,
it's over. That whole Sky Barbie thing, that thing is over. Angel Reese is done in Chicago.
They're gonna move on. They have to. What happens when your supposed franchise star openly insults her teammates in the middle of the season? That's exactly what Angel Reese did, and it wasn't some vague criticism about needing to be better. No, she went straight for the jugular in a Chicago Tribune feature, snapping, "I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year."
Let's see what Angel Reese had to say. "I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year." Oh boy. Reese told the Tribune, "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year. Overhaul this roster."
And then she doubled down, pointing directly at the very people in her own locker room, questioning whether Rachel Banham or Haley Van Lith were even good enough to be part of a playoff team. That kind of statement doesn't just rattle fans, it cuts right through the unspoken locker room code. You simply do not trash your teammates in the media.
"We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age that she's at," Reese said. "I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before." Courtney Vandersloot, by the way, 2-time WNBA champion, 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-WNBA first team, left the New York Liberty, a championship caliber team, to come help out the Chicago. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, dang. Oh, damn. It's all right, Courtney. It's all right.
Alright, the ripple effect was immediate. Courtney Vandersloot, a veteran who's been carrying Chicago basketball for years, suddenly found herself portrayed as too old to help. Never mind that she's still producing, still setting the table, still one of the smartest floor generals the league has ever seen. Instead, her own teammate dismissed her like she was a busted trade card sitting in a box. And get this, the irony. The Sky front office literally reshaped their roster around Reese last offseason, trading away the number 3 overall pick, Sonia Citron, for Ariel Atkins. That wasn't a small gamble, that was the organization saying, "We're all in on building this thing around Angel." But instead of unity, it only magnified the tension.
You can tell it's just some turmoil going on in Chicago right now, and it kind of brings up the question, like, what is going to happen with Angel Reese at this point? I think she's done playing.
Now picture this from the perspective of Ariel Atkins. She's brand new, a respected player brought in to push the Sky upward, and what does she walk into? A situation where the franchise cornerstone is practically treating the roster like pieces on a fantasy draft board, saying they're not good enough. Atkins handled it with class, publicly defending her teammates and stressing collective improvement. Reese's tone, on the other hand, couldn't have been more different, practically shouting, "We need better players." The contrast tells you everything. With one player focused on unity, the other was just focused on upgrading everyone but herself.
In the beginning of the season, you was missing mad layups. You was shooting like 27% on layups. I saw Ariel Atkins at the podium holding you down. I didn't see none of your teammates going in the media blasting your ass for not being able to make a damn layup. We haven't seen none of your teammates come out and flame you for how you was missing layups back to back to back to back to back. You had like 8 straight games where these dudes won hundreds of thousands of dollars betting that you would miss your first shot. None of your teammates came out and embarrassed you publicly. They held you down and supported.
And that's the wildest part. Reese wasn't just criticizing from a position of dominance. She was piling up turnovers like candy at Halloween, getting suspended for technical fouls and disappearing for weeks with a back injury. Everyone in that gym could see her flaws, but only she seemed blind to them. To the team, it was like watching a player complain about the paint job on a car while completely forgetting she's the one driving it straight into a ditch.
I would be highly surprised if Angel Reese is on the Chicago Sky's roster come the start of the 2026 or the 2027 season. The Chicago Sky, they might be saying to themselves, Angel Reese just isn't worth the headache that she is causing. Great rebounder. As for everything else, she's not worth the headache that she's causing.
The result? Instead of rallying the locker room, she isolated herself. The more she aired frustration with her teammates, the more those teammates realized she wasn't standing with them. She was standing apart, pointing fingers. And once that line was crossed, there was no repairing it. The Sky didn't see an inspiring leader in Reese. They saw someone tearing them down from the inside. From words alone, the cracks were obvious, but when her actual play entered the picture, things spiraled even further. What happens when your own teammates stop protecting you and start speaking their truth? That's when you know the locker room has reached a breaking point. Angel Reese's comments to the media weren't just forgotten lines in an article. They lit a fire straight through the Chicago Sky locker room, and suddenly players who once stood by her didn't feel so eager to stay quiet anymore.
Well, it goes to show, if you're going to go at a legend, you better not miss. As we know, Angel Reese come out this week. She absolutely crushed her own teammates into the dust. And she even decided to go after a legend. The legendary Courtney Vandersloot, who of course blew out her ACL at the beginning of the season. And she is in the midst of making a comeback. And of course, Angel Reese made some comments that were none too kind.
Trying to become a legend, this whole mess started with Reese taking public shots at her teammates. Instead of talking about her own turnovers or her growing list of technical fouls, she questioned the value of veterans and role players, singling out Courtney Vandersloot, and even calling out the production of Haley Van Lith and Rachel Bannum. To fans, those comments sounded arrogant. Inside the team, they sounded divisive. Players understood that every single word would circle back to them, whether they wanted to be in the spotlight or not. Ariel Atkins found herself in a tough spot. She was brought in during the offseason in a trade the Sky made largely to support Reese, not to create friction. Atkins tried to hold the line by defending her teammates, offering calm words instead of lashing out. But man, you could tell it wasn't easy. Nobody wants to walk into a new team only to find day-to-day life dominated by drama, created by someone else's ego. Fans should have been focusing on basketball. Instead, she was cleaning up a mess.
It says here, Tyler Marsh called it a top-down organizational decision, declined to share which comments were viewed as detrimental. Atkins implied the team supported the decision. Ownership handled it how they see fit. She told the Sun-Times, a shooter on Friday, they have full support from our team.
Not everyone had.
Everyone had run out of patience. Rachel Bannum, a veteran who has seen more than enough locker room drama across her career, made it plain. Her response cut through all the noise. I think I just don't really care. I'm so over all this. That wasn't apathy, that was pure exhaustion. Bannum doesn't have time for a teammate publicly dragging her down when she's trying to grind out another season in the league. Then came Vandersloot. The idea that she was too old to make an impact didn't sit well with someone who has built a career on consistency and grit. She shot back by saying, "My age is absolutely not a factor. I am coming back better than ever." Vandersloot has earned every ounce of respect from the league, and she wasn't about to let her legacy get reduced to a punchline in one of Reese's interviews.
But can Sky Nation expect to see you back here next year?
Oh, absolutely. You know, contrary to what people say or think, my age is absolutely not a factor. I am coming back. I'm going to come back better than ever because that's what I've done. I put myself in a position to come back and compete even at this age.
Better than ever. Thank you so much, Lou.
What unfolded was that rare shift where teammates stop covering each other in public and start prioritizing their own careers. Reports circled that players were unhappy about being named directly in comments. The tension eventually boiled over into a players-only meeting meant to address the elephant in the room, with Angel Reese herself. That crucial conversation forced everyone to face reality. They didn't have to carry the target Reese had placed on their backs.
Angel Reese will be lucky if she has a third of the career that Courtney Vandersloot has had. I don't think it was Kennedy Carter that blew that locker room up. I think it was Angel Reese. There, I said it out loud. I think it was continuous drama.
And that's when the glass finally shattered. Protecting Reese wasn't protecting the team. Her teammates realized that if her words kept defining their season, they'd all be dragged down with her. So instead of shielding her, they made it clear they were finished. What started as a war of words was now showing up in the way the team played whenever Reese wasn't on the floor. Sometimes, you know, the loudest statement is made when you're not even on the floor. For Angel Reese, that statement came during a season where she found herself sidelined for almost every type of reason imaginable. She wasn't just missing games because of an injury, though she claimed a back issue kept her out for weeks. She also piled up suspensions. The league sat her down for an automatic one-game ban after she picked up her 8th technical foul of the season. That whistle came from a play against the Connecticut Sun where she made contact with Aaliyah Edwards' head while battling for a rebound.
And watching the bottom of your screen, the contact by Reese.
You can see Angel's right hand got Aaliyah Edwards on the head. And if they do, Lisa, I'm okay with that too, because I think you have to officiate these teams very tightly.
So it will be a technical foul on Angel Reese. Not only was it another moment in her long list of disciplinary problems, but it also forced her to miss a game against the Indiana Fever, a matchup that everyone had circled because of her rivalry with Caitlin Clark. On top of that, the Sky themselves eventually hit Reese with a suspension for conduct detrimental, a label that tells you her problems weren't just happening on the scoreboard.
Chicago Sky values the safety, respect, and well-being of every player. We are committed to accountability so our players can stay focused on playing basketball. Because of statements detrimental to the team made by Angel Reese during league-mandated media, she will not play in the first half of the game on September 7th against the Las Vegas Aces. This matter has been handled and resolved internally, and we are moving forward
As a team. But here's the irony that stings the most. Instead of the Sky collapsing when Reese wasn't there, reports started surfacing that the team actually looked sharper without her. The ball moved faster, the floor looked less chaotic, and their offense didn't seem weighed down by someone demanding touches and immediately coughing the ball up. Let's not forget, she somehow managed to lead the entire league in turnovers despite missing nearly a month. Think about that for a second. Most players need heavy minutes all season to pile up those mistakes. Reese pulled it off while not even showing up for portions of the season.
Angel Reese facing her first bit of accountability here in the WNBA. Unapologetically, Angel, the Chicago Sky don't care about any of that right now. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about go out and say what you want. Be unapologetic. They have no time for that. They have a business to run. They have teammates that they care about, players on the roster that they're looking for. You know what? We got to send a message. This isn't cool to Vandersloot. This isn't cool to Banham. This isn't cool to Haley Van Lith. We got to show the other players on the roster we have your back as well.
But the absences weren't just happening during tip-off. Reese didn't even travel with the team while she was injured. It made people question how invested she really was. Compare that to Caitlin Clark, who stayed glued to the sidelines even when her own body limited her play earlier this year. Clark guided teammates during timeouts, clapped through every run, and showed a commitment that screamed leadership. Reese, she wasn't even in the building most nights to pretend. Meanwhile, her battles with referees became so common that one situation turned into a courtroom-like appeal. The Sky actually challenged one of her technicals, hoping it might be rescinded. Just picture that. Your team lawyers up to try and reduce your foul count because you can't stop arguing on the floor. And when those appeals or suspensions pulled her out of the rotation, the locker room didn't groan. By most accounts, the mood lightened. Rachel Banham even said flatly she didn't care anymore. That's the sound of teammates finding peace in her absence.
It is looking spooky in Chicago. Instead, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Berman or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading them to the leading the playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky roster with WNBA championship experience. We are aware of it, Marsh stated. We are addressing it.
So what did all of it reveal? The truth, no one on the Sky wanted to admit out loud. It wasn't Chicago holding Angel Reese back. It was Reese pulling Chicago down. And once fans put that into perspective, the contrast between her and someone like Caitlin Clark only got sharper. One player complained her way out of chemistry. Another lifted her team into playoff contention. Guess which one fans respect? The league has leaned into this so-called rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, but honestly, the comparison gets less interesting every single time. On one side, you've got suspensions, trade demands, and locker room drama. On the other, you've got a superstar who stepped into one of the worst franchises in the WNBA and somehow convinced everyone to believe again. It's not much of a mystery why fans are gravitating in one direction.
Indiana Fever destroy the Chicago Sky in Indianapolis on Saturday. Guess who wasn't there? Angel Reese. Angel Reese declined to travel to Indianapolis, and her coach came out and said something about, she's just focused on her rehab right now, and, she's day to day. We've never had an explanation on what caused the back injury, what's a time frame for her recovery. It's similar to so-and-so's back injury. This is something she struggled with here or there. All we've heard is day to day.
And Angel Reese has disappeared. Clark has become the clear foil to Reese because her actions actually match the leadership talk. While Reese trashed her teammates publicly and floated the idea of needing better players, Clark was pulling chairs up on the sideline even when she was too banged up to play. That mattered. Teammates don't just see you hit threes or throw dimes. They notice if you're invested when the camera isn't on you. Clark was still pointing out sets, still clapping when Kelsey Mitchell caught fire, still pulling Lexi Hull to a spot where she could get open look. The Fever didn't see her absence as abandonment. They saw it as presence, even in street clothes. The difference is almost too obvious. Clark leaned into the team she had, while Reese acted like she wanted a trade machine to magically spin her better running mate. Instead of calling for upgrades, Clark's way was celebrating small wins and stacking confidence. When Aaliyah Boston started to impose her power in the paint, Clark amplified that by constantly finding her. When Mitchell lit up defenses, Clark played the hype woman, and when Hull hit from the corners, Clark turned it into momentum. That reinforces trust, and you could just see everyone on the Fever start to play freer because of it.
And more than anything, y'all, big picture wise, this group, there would have been so many teams that would have folded with all we've been through. And we just kept getting better, and we kept getting tougher, and we kept becoming more resilient, and we kept figuring things out, right? Like, we've had like 7 new teams throughout the course of this season. and no matter what, we've been flexible, we've been accountable, we've put each other in positions to be successful, and we've continued to put one foot forward and stayed the course.
Fans and analysts have definitely noticed Indiana was supposed to be crawling through another rebuild year with modest progress. Instead, they showed life down the stretch, even pushing towards playoff contention. Nobody's saying it was perfect, but the point is crystal clear. People believe the Fever are headed somewhere because their culture feels stable, and that's attached directly to Clark's behavior. So if the WNBA's future is looking at two examples, one of constant conflict and another of cohesion, which one do you think the next generation of players will want to follow? Clark's reflection is clean, straightforward, and about the unit. Reese's is cloudy, selfish, and already exhausting to watch play out this early in her career.
And we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. Okay, we got another one on Tuesday, and in the playoffs, ain't nobody gonna want to see us. Nobody. No one is gonna want to see us. That's right. Nobody. I'm not gonna sing it, but yes. So we continue to focus on competing to the standard, preparing to the standard, all right? And then we scare the hell out of this league.
Yeah, there we go.
Here we go! Hell yeah, agree, 1, 2, 3! Hell yeah!
That's why you see fans flock to Fever games, why jerseys keep flying off shelves. Integrity is easy to spot, and so are distractions. The story of Angel Reese exposes flaws, but the rise of Caitlin Clark shows exactly what leadership can be when it's real. The Chicago Sky's mirror wasn't broken at all. The cracks Angel Reese kept pointing to were her own reflection. Leading the league in turnovers, despite missing weeks of action, showed the illusion of her as a leader was just that, an illusion. Fans don't want excuses and finger-pointing. They want players who show up, lift others, and make the game better. That's why the choice is obvious. Support athletes like Caitlin Clark and the Fever, who are building steady progress, not chaos. Reese became a cautionary tale. Clark and Indiana represent the hope of where the WNBA is headed. Let us know down in the comments below if you think the Sky should fire Reese. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.